you're one of the key players in the privacy industry. Where do you see the future of privacy going 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Give me your outlook. Do you think that the war on crypto is over now that Trump's around, or is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better?
Having you here has been best part of the day. Thanks so much for swinging by, Sal. This has been great.
So we recorded in X Space. We had cake. We had barbecue. We're living it up here.
We had mac and cheese and steak.
I'm moving in. You're not going to get rid of me now.
Always welcome.
So why don't we just give us like a quick history of like how you got involved in crypto in the first place and where you are today?
Gosh, how did I get involved in crypto? I think
it's been a long road.
It's been a long road. It started off not in financial at all. Like I know you'd been studying a lot of, Austrian economics. You read the books.
Yeah.
I've got to catch up to your level of knowledge in all honesty. But I think my path to crypto was through having distrust in a lot of establishment, not in the financial sense, but closer to health, wellness, fitness, and reading books like Born to Run, which kind of taught me how big companies like Nike, right, will do similar things to what you see other industries doing, where they give you a product, a service that makes you just feel comfy in where you are, not realizing that that level of comfort is actually hurting you. So we feel this today, like just literally chairs. Like as humanity gets more comfortable, we get softer, and a part of getting softer is making us weaker. The food that we eat, all right, all that tempting sugar and carbs and chemicals that make it much more mass producible compromise us. And then, of course, don't even get me started with Big Pharma.
Yeah, right.
All
the great
of that,
Satan.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest Satan in our planet, which is one of the largest establishments, in many ways richer than the government, is a path by which I started to have a lot of distrust of, the biggest entities in our world. Then I go and discover Bitcoin in 2013. I'm like, wow, all the people that have had similar alignment to how I felt were just complainers. Like we just could only complain. That's all we could do. And suddenly now there was a way for us to act on it and fund a lot of our ideals. So obviously by holding and using and transacting Bitcoin at the time, which is all that really existed back in 2013, it was a way to exit the system, defund government, which is what enabled a lot of the things I was most upset about.
Oh, that's interesting. So you started from a health and wellness.
Right.
And that sort of pivoted to Bitcoin.
It pivoted to Bitcoin because who was enabling a lot of, for example, like Big Pharma to pass all of its legislature and mandate what they wanted us to take? Right. Government.
Right.
And what enabled them to be able to mandate all that is money.
It's like we were saying at lunch, like without the money printer, they can't afford all the
afford
frivolous bullshit programs that they force on us.
They can't create the programs. They can't enforce the programs. And so really they would only be able to create and enforce the things that we collectively agree on, right? As opposed to like, hey, we're just going to print money to do it. They actually have to ask us for the money, and we have to be willing to give it for it.
Oh, dude, COVID must have drove you fucking nuts.
Oh man, it was the absolute. I mean, even before COVID, really, it was a complete full circle. If you notice in the crypto community, especially the Bitcoin community, there's a huge focus on what it became like alternative health and wellness.
Yeah.
When really it's the health and wellness methodology that predates us to like hundreds of years.
Right.
Like living the way we lived hundreds, if not thousands of years ago is a lot of the narrative you see within the crypto Bitcoin community. I think what makes it so common, like the Maha movement, right? With crypto is that it's trying to rewind time to the way both money should be, the way health should be, the way food should be.
Yeah.
We all have that similar ideal, and it all became full circle to me. I'm like, oh my God, everything that I've believed in and been frustrated about, Bitcoin enables us to actually do something about it as opposed to just like complain.
Right. Well, it's kind of like last night we got dinner, Paul and I, and we were talking about how, some of the maxis, they become like stake maximalists.
Yeah, exactly.
But it sort of relates to like the whole concept of time preference because like, if you have a sound money, you're more likely to think long term.
Yep.
Whereas if you know your money's going to be devalued tomorrow, you're more likely to spend it. And
use it right now.
High inflationary societies are generally more prone to things like drug use and promiscuity, and
Right.
there's less
Immediate gratification.
Exactly.
Right. Not looking forward. And so, and the beauty of, in a way, the beauty of having discovered a lot of the way we used to live hundreds, if not thousands of years ago from a health and wellness point of view, is that I feel like you get the best of both worlds in the sense that you're eating and living in a way that is long-term beneficial.
Right.
But how many people don't love steak?
Yeah, I know.
Immediately right now, today,
I
right?
know.
So you're going to get to both the short and the long-term time preference all in one. And so it's like, well,
That's
can't
interesting.
complain.
I'm not sure I've heard that path to Bitcoin yet, like the whole health and wellness path, but I like it. That's interesting. So now how did that translate into, because now you're the CEO of EdgeWallet, and EdgeWallet is, known for their privacy focus.
Mm-hmm.
How did that transfer into like a sort of focus on privacy?
It was really the kind of this study of the Cypherpunk manifesto, Eric Hughes. Like I went to Cal, which now is not really considered a school that would remotely promote privacy and freedom, right? But people forget that in its early days, it not only did it, but it built a lot of the tools.
Right.
So even though while I was there, I hadn't really studied a lot of those things. I mean, this was in the 90s when we barely had public-private key cryptography. Right? It barely existed. It was mostly a theory. It wasn't really widely deployed. So for us as like undergrad students, maybe some of the PhDs would study it. I didn't get a PhD. I think it's a waste of time. But for a lot of us, we didn't really get exposed to that. But getting into Bitcoin and then reading about the history of these of the cypherpunks and just reading the manifesto, I'm like, oh my God, it tore at the heartstrings. Like this is enabling the freedom that I want, right? And that largely, and actually, I'd even credit my co-founder William Swanson. He was a huge staunch advocate for privacy.
No shit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's why he's barely visible.
Okay,
right? He does do talks. He's talked.
I'm like, should we get him on the stage? No, he doesn't want to be on camera.
He has been. He's talked over at Libertopia when it was over here in San Diego.
Okay.
He's spoken at several crypto meetups when we were at an accelerator in San Francisco.
Okay.
And so he's had a presence and whatnot, but there's other parts of life as well. And so he's like what I call the silent, quiet, amazing, brilliant builder. You need those people behind the scenes really making it happen. And conversations with him and some of my other co-founders, Damien Cotillo as well.
This is back in the AirBits days.
Early AirBits days, yeah, exactly. The original co-founding team of AirBits. And I'd mentioned that William had worked with Amir Taki when we had aligned with Darkwall to build originally AirBits. When you surround yourself with those people, like you just really get absorbed in the ethos, the end goal, and you start to see that alignment. Like, hey, there is no freedom without privacy.
Yeah.
And when it came to my origins of health and wellness, a lot of it was based on like freedom, meaning I wanted to have the freedom to choose what I put in my body, what I don't, right? And that alignment with the privacy community it felt like a perfect full circle, right? Tied all together, community that was aligned on multiple facets. And I see that more and more today, and especially COVID, but as much as it frustrated me, at the same time, it created alignment within different communities that all were kind of disparate and separate, but you started to see they had the same ideals,
right?
Which was awesome to see.
Yeah.
To this day, like I was a big fan of like Kennedy when he ran, and while he's not perfect, and there's many things I would disagree with. The fact that he was both aligned on health and wellness and was a Bitcoiner,
yeah, right.
And a crypto advocate.
It's enough for me.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah, right.
So
take my money.
Perfect.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep.
All right. Well, let's talk about EdgeWallet. We have a big announcement today. We did a Twitter space earlier.
It was great. Yeah.
Tell me what that announcement was.
Yeah. So let's go back to 2017. Our biggest complaints about Bitcoin, right?
Obviously,
scalability. We wanted fast and cheap.
Transaction fees, wait times, pseudonymity.
Right. And pseudonymity, exactly. So that third in the trifecta of issues with Bitcoin, privacy. And so the announcement today, admittedly, although it felt like a big announcement for Edge, I have to say that we're just riding, on the shoulders of giants that are building the tech that we integrate inside of Edge. So Confidential Layer, Bridgeless Zano. And so our announcement is integrating these three pieces of the puzzle, enabling people to bridge using Bridgeless BTC, like actual Bitcoin L1, into BTCX, the token or confidential asset as it's called on Zano, or Zano, always forget how to pronounce it, and then be able to transact that fast, cheap, and most importantly, private. So I can now send you BTCX. You can send it to someone else. We got to add it to our snack bar over here so you can pay BTCX, right, for our $1 snacks, and send it with no trace, meaning you know who you send it to doesn't know how much money you have, doesn't see any of your future transactions. All the issues with transparent chains like Bitcoin and Ethereum are gone. And the user experience exceeds what you would get with any of these other solutions that try to, what I call duct tape privacy on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There's like pay join, coin join, I can't remember the last one, which is basically a form of stealth addresses on Bitcoin. All of them are just duct tape privacy. A, they're not complete. None of them hide the amounts. And B, you have this kind of horrible problem of incompatibility between one wallet might support this feature, but not that feature.
Yeah.
So
you need to have a certain wallet to do this, and so another wallet might not do it.
Even if you had all the features, it's still poor privacy compared to Zano or BTCX on Zano. And then likely you don't even have someone that you can transact with that has even one of those nugget features, right? So it's the duct tape privacy fundamentally, a lot of people have been asking us for those kind of features, and we've considered it, all right? Like pay join, it's kind of invisible, but you don't know that you're actually going to get it unless you go to a merchant. So it's fairly limited on the privacy you get. And so with the integration with Zano, you get all three of the nuggets. You get the amounts are private. You get the fact that the sender is private. You get the recipient's private. And then an interesting thing, which I actually just learned at the X Spaces today, is that you also get privacy on the fact that you're what asset you're sending. Like I didn't know that. I actually thought that, oh, well, you know you're sending BTCX. You just don't know how much. You don't know who. You don't know who it's coming from.
Yeah, that's what I had assumed.
Right. But now you actually don't know that it's BTCX being sent. So a Zano transaction could be Zano, it could be BTCX, it could be FUSD, it could be anything. It could be ETHX, and you don't know.
Right.
So there's just a whole nother level of privacy that I had learned today that is benefiting everyone. Like even if you don't care about BTCX and you're like an ETH max and you're sending ETH on Zano,
it still works.
You're actually creating more privacy for the people that want to send Bitcoin and more privacy for the people that just want to send Zano. Right. It's masking all of that. And so this is what I would call today the best way to send Bitcoin privately, fast and cheap.
Yeah, no doubt.
It beats a lot of the other L2s in privacy. There are no privacy L2s today.
I agree with you, yeah.
There might be programmable L2s, which I'll say there's still a use for that, even though they're not private. And there's some that help with scalability. But from the package of payments, which you need scalability, low fees, and most importantly, privacy, there's no better solution today. Now, granted, you know the crypto world it's changing day by day. So this could change pretty quickly.
But for right now,
this
is the best way to do it.
This is the best way to do it. And I think it's got some legs to stand on for quite some time. And so this will be the default that I'll be letting people know. If I onboard someone into Bitcoin, especially because I can just have them install Edge, this will be the default way of doing it.
So now from the user's end, does this pass the Irish Atom test?
Oh gosh, I haven't hung out with Irish Atom enough to know.
Can a crypto noob, who's somebody who's like, you know, brand new to crypto, is it as simple as just going to the Edge wallet and facilitating a swap? Because Adam knows how to do that.
Yeah, if you can facilitate a swap in Edge, if you know how to go from one asset to another in Edge, then you know how to go from Bitcoin to BTCX and back.
Which is like, you know, it's retard proof.
Mostly. The one piece that is not retard proof, which is true of almost all chains, is whenever you have a token on a chain, you do need a little bit of the main asset. So if you need to send USDC, you need to have a little bit of ETH, right? If you want to send BTCX,
but like if I wanted to convert Bitcoin to Zano on the Edge wallet, it's as simple as just Bitcoin to Zano swap.
Exactly. Yep. If you want to convert,
is that how it works with BTC to BTCX?
Correct.
Yeah. So but
BTCX back to BTC is where it's tricky because the average person may not realize. To unwrap it, the average person might not realize they need Zano first. So you have to be able to pay the fees. Now we've actually, outside of the privacy world, we have integrated some services that will let you pay the fee in the token that you're swapping.
Oh no!
So this isn't exactly with what this isn't Aaron Day approved,
right.
But for example, one of the most popular assets used is, I hate to say, but USDC.
Yeah.
And so if you have USDC on Ethereum, a lot of people just get sent USDC, and they're like a first-time crypto person. I'm like, great, I got some money, I got some dollars. Someone paid me back for lunch, but they're like, okay, I want to go and sell it or swap it into Bitcoin. they can't because it's just USDC. They
Yes,
need a little bit of
yes.
ETH. So we
But
integrated.
they'll figure that out.
You'd be surprised. They're calling us all the time.
Really?
Yeah, they're
No
like
shit.
they're not looking up on Grok or anything. They're just like, let's call Edge.
Yeah,
Right?
poor Dan.
Yeah. So we actually added a swap service called 0x protocol, 0x gasless, which lets some tokens on Ethereum, not all, some tokens on Ethereum and some similar chains get swapped without having any ETH. So you can take USDC and there'll be a third-party service that doesn't hold your money, but it will pay your fee for you and then take a cut of the swap.
Okay.
So it is more expensive than if you had ETH yourself. But if you don't have any ETH, it's really your only choice. That's the easiest way to do it. I suppose you're having to go to like, buy some ETH with a credit card, that kind of thing.
It's truly a revolutionary moment in the privacy movement. If you think about it, like, I mean, again, like you said, like the problem always was, it was pseudonymous. I think you had mentioned on the space too, like it not only does this resolve the pseudonymity problem, but now because it's on the Zano blockchain, it's also quick and cheap as well.
Fast and cheap. And so it's a few cents to send pretty much any Zano transaction. And so now you're sending Bitcoin cheaper than sending it on L1. And you can onboard people, unlike Lightning, which I've gotten so much shit for.
Oh my God.
Shit on Lightning. But Lightning does not allow you to receive a Lightning transaction
Right.
until you already have some Bitcoin. And so that's not the same. I can send someone BTCX and they could have nothing.
Right.
And they receive it fast and cheap. And so it is a very usable solution. I'm excited to see it adopted. I'm going to promote everyone that accepts Bitcoin to also accept BTCX.
Yeah,
There's actually there's a brewery. The guy Brian that chimed in. If Brian, if you happen to be listening to this by some chance, right? I met him at a meetup. Actually, I met him here at the meetup that we hold, like the one we're holding tonight. But he also goes to a Bitcoin only meetup, and it's held at a brewery that takes Bitcoin, but they take Bitcoin L1 and Lightning. And I'd love to push him to take BTCX as well, right? And show him that, hey, by accepting BTCX, you're not exposing your balance and transactions to everyone that transacts with you.
Now, normally I would say like this is like this fixes Bitcoin, so to speak.
Partially,
but
yeah.
I think it's more bullish for Zano.
It is because it fixes all the other similar chains to Bitcoin.
Right.
And so it becomes the one hub by which you can say, well, I can transact Bitcoin Cash privately. I can transact Ethereum privately.
Yeah.
Right.
It's huge.
And so it is very bullish for Zano. And in many ways, Zano becomes the payment method for the asset.
Exactly.
And people don't give enough credit to the payment method versus the asset. Right. The payment method actually long-term, fundamentally believe, actually takes precedent and has more power than the asset that you're paying with.
Yeah.
An example of that is the US dollar. So when the US dollar was created, it was not, I define it personally as not a currency. It was a payment method for gold.
Yeah, right. True. You're
that's
right.
all
That's
it
a good analogy.
Yeah, it was just a piece of paper that said, well, I'm going to transfer some amount of gold in a way that's cheaper and lighter because gold's heavy.
Oh, this is a great analogy.
Right? Yeah, it's a payment method for gold. But guess what? Once everyone is using that payment method, gold becomes less relevant. And you just yank the gold out from underneath the payment method.
That was the trick.
It was the trick, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe that could become Zano's trick.
Right.
The payment method starts to become valuable enough where it's like, oh, we're all on Zano transacting Bitcoin Cash, ETH,
You might as well have some Zano.
And you're going to already need to have some Zano, right? So, well, then I'll just send you some Zano instead of sending you Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So it could become the Trojan horse for Zano in many ways. Will that happen? Hard to say, right? But it is a path that has some precedent in history.
Yeah, and that's one of many reasons I'm so bullish on Zano. But all right, back to Edge for a second because I was walking around the office here, and I noticed on Elizabeth's desk she has a giant wrench. And one of the coolest things about Edge Wallet, as you know, which I'm obsessed with this feature, is called Duress Mode.
Right.
Because it sort of protects people from these wrench attacks. School me on Duress Mode. I know the audience has heard. I've had you on the show to explain it before, but again, there's new people out there. So just break down what Duress Mode is because I think it's just such an awesome, cool feature. When you first told me about it, I was like, this is genius. Like when we were in ETH Town, I was like,
I remember it's the first time I met you.
I was like, this is brilliant. So just break it down real quick for the audience again.
Yeah, so duress. First, you have to know what the word duress means. So to be under duress means someone is forcing you to do something, right? You're under pressure, right? And it's usually referred to being under pressure from a malicious actor such as a robber, a burglar, someone down the street who wants to, force you to give you your wallet. And so there are existing devices that have a duress mode. The most common one is a security system. And if the security systems have changed over the years, over the decades, but when I used to have one in my first place that I had owned, it was you enter the home, the system starts beeping, and you've got like 1 minute to enter the code into the security system. Turn it off, right?
I know. I remember those.
You remember those? Exactly.
Yeah.
Now there's apps and they know if you're home. Like, it's all like geolocated. But in the old days, you entered your 4-digit PIN and then boom, the alarm turns off. You're good to go.
I remember those.
I remember them because I'd always trip them. I'd forget to,
right.
I'm groggy, hit the wrong code. But almost all of them had a duress mode, which was really a duress PIN, so that you could disable the alarm if you were under duress. Like say someone, as you were entering your house, held a gun up to you, forced you to enter their home and unlock the alarm. Because if you didn't unlock the alarm, it would call the cops, right? And so the duress PIN would unlock the alarm, but silently call the cops. And I think I've seen movies where there's the same thing at a bank, where they're forcing a teller to unlock the vault. And so they enter the PIN for the vault or push a button underneath the table, and that's quietly alerting the cops, and they come by. So we took that as an inspiration and said, okay, well, we're not looking at hooking up Edge to the cops in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
So we're not looking at calling the cops. Although you'd be surprised how many people have asked us for something like this, right?
Oh, God.
Maybe not calling the cops, but like, can you notify my family? Maybe we'll consider something like that. But in the meantime, what it's effectively doing is it's hiding let's call it your large wallets, right? Whatever you define as large.
Your main wallet.
Your main wallet that has like your larger funds that you might not transact with a whole lot. It's hiding those and only showing the ones that maybe is your small spending wallet to buy snacks at our dollar snack bar. And so what's large is what you define, right? Obviously in a developing country, $100 could be huge. Maybe the average person in California, it's 10 grand, 100 grand, $1 million. And so what it effectively does is it creates what we call a sub account. So when you enable duress mode, you choose a second PIN. So you have your main PIN for
that goes to a different wallet.
It goes to a different account. So in Edge, you have an encrypted account that encrypts all your private keys for all of your assets. So your Zano wallet has a master private key, the 25 words or 26. Your Monero wallet has its 25 words. Your Bitcoin wallet has its 12-word C, blah, blah, blah. Every single asset has its own master private key. They're all collected into an account, encrypted and backed up. And then your PIN unlocks it, and it can decrypt those keys. By setting up a second PIN, it actually creates a second wallet where you can create new wallets that have their own keys and just hold spending money in there, like a decoy set of funds. And those wallets will show up in your primary account. So your primary account will still see those smaller wallets, so you can just continually log into your primary account as you normally do, spend out of those smaller wallets. But when you're under duress, you enter the duress PIN, and only the smaller wallets show up. And that looks like then that's the extent of your funds. And if someone asks, it's like, hey, I don't bring my big funds around with me. Here's what you can claim.
You know what I like? I like that so much because like if you think about like crypto influencers, we go to these events and like
huge targets.
There's like a target on our back.
Yeah.
So like, sometimes you don't want to bring your you don't want these funds. Like, you don't want to store it on your phone, but you still want to be able to spend it because that's what it's for. And this sort of enables you to do both at the same time, to be secure and to bring the funds with you so that you can spend them. A lot of these conferences, there's like, you can buy shit and
especially the ones we go to because people are actually using crypto. We're not going to those Michael Saylor conferences.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We're going to the ones where people actually use crypto.
Yeah, right. Like I think I participated in one of the first Freedom Dollar transactions ever. Like there's cool shit like that. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Now,
give it a try. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, duress mode on Edge Wallet. And then, by the way, how do you set it up on Edge Wallet?
So in Edge, you go to settings, right? There's a settings button in the side menu. From there, you'll see a duress mode button. You do have to re-enter your password to unlock kind of like sensitive settings like this. And from there, you just go and enter a different 4-digit PIN, right? It'll ask you for a 4-digit PIN. Just make sure, it won't let you enter the same one that your account already has, obviously. So create another one. And then when you go to log out, you can log out, side menu, log out. Go ahead and enter that duress PIN, and you'll be presented with basically a blank account. Then you can go and create some wallets in it.
Okay.
And transfer some funds into it. Right?
Okay.
You can go back and forth between your main account and duress account by just simply entering one PIN or another. Once you go back into your main account, you'll see those duress wallets show up, and you can start just transferring funds between them. All right, and you can swap funds or just transfer between, like, say, your main Zano wallet and your spending Zano wallet, whatever you'd like.
One of the things that I have been harping on for a very long time. So some people would say I was kind of too early, but I've been telling you guys about what I'm calling the Tocambrian explosion, because I foresee a future in which everything is tokenized.
Wow.
If it can be tokenized, it will be tokenized. That's my hypothesis.
Yep.
And obviously now we have confidential assets, and Fearo's going to launch Spark assets, and there's we're starting to see it now. I mean, was it BlackRock or Palantir? Are they tokenizing stocks on Solana? And
yeah, those X stocks, I think they're called, are actually available in Edge now, and so we don't have right pricing information for them because a lot of the pricing sources like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap don't quite have pricing on them, but they're just a contract address. So we've enabled them. People can send and receive those assets, and maybe even be able to swap into them through DEXs already.
That's awesome.
But you're right. A lot of stuff is getting tokenized. I do have some honest skepticism of the tokenize all things, including stocks. I do have some what I call healthy skepticism on that because they're not crypto native. And whenever something's not crypto native, there's something you lose from the viewpoint of freedom and censorship resistance, right? Which I think it works until it doesn't, right? But for now, for those people in places that just don't have access to like E-Trade and NASDAQ, this becomes an amazing opportunity.
Well, I guess we're not there yet, but like, I guess one of the things that initially made me so excited about it was because I would look at, like, if you think about what FINRA is, right? FINRA is a branch of the SEC, and if you want to buy a stock, you have to go through a FINRA registered broker,
right?
And that sort of drives up the cost of brokerage, and it limits the amount of people who can have access to these capital markets. Once we start tokenizing securities and assets in an unregulated fashion, and we trade them in a permissionless way, FINRA sort of becomes null and void. And again, we're not there yet, that's sort of the direction that I'm hoping we move in.
Right.
And that might be, a little bit idealistic, but give me your general breakdown on what you see in the movement for tokenization and how Edge is sort of working with that.
Yeah, so there's two main pieces that we're gonna integrate from the viewpoint of tokenization. It's fairly straightforward and simple. We integrate as many DEXs as we can, which ensures that people have good liquidity sources that can access the vast majority of the tokens that are created in this world. And we're not going to take a stance on like, oh, this token is shit, this one's good, and blah, 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 just because there are too many that we can't analyze all of them. And we're just software. We're not actually holding any of these assets like a centralized exchange is. For them, since they're holding the asset, they have to do huge amount of due diligence before they can list something. For us, it's like 2 lines of code. Right? It's not even code. It's just a setting in a server that says, here are some of the assets. And in fact, we're even getting rid of that. We're just going to query blockchains and go, what are all of these assets? Boom, people can access them.
Is that the auto detect feature you were mentioning?
So auto detect is one piece of that puzzle. Okay. Right now, the auto detect, though, is only auto detecting tokens that we have put into the app.
So
manually.
You guys whitelist them.
We whitelist them.
And then if I receive that token, boom, Edge
up.
Wallet knows that I got it.
And whitelist is probably the wrong term because whitelist has it implies that we are evaluating and saying yes to a token when it's really we've just actually bothered to put it into the app.
Yeah.
Whereas there's just thousands of them. We don't have the manpower to put all of them on there. Our goal is we just don't even judge a token. If it exists on the chain, you can receive it and you can send it. And if it's supported by a DEX, you can swap it.
Yeah, right.
And that puts us into this neutral, we're not judging anyone, right?
Do your own research.
Yeah. So that's our end goal. Now, with respect to, and that'll apply to like stocks, real world assets and whatnot.
Oh, no shit. Stocks too?
Well, yeah, because X
all
stocks,
real world
right?
assets. Yeah,
anything that's just a token on a chain.
That's
right?
awesome.
Will just show up. But now, what are my thoughts on the different kinds of tokens? Obviously, there's
so many kinds.
There's so many kinds, but I bucket them into primarily 2 categories of tokens that people care anything about. And so, 3. One are meme coins. So I'll just say they exist, whatever, right? Second are tokens that are chain native, like blockchain cryptocurrency native tokens that are minted on chain, used in the chain, and gain value from their utility on a chain. So examples are a lot of the governance coins, right, that allow you to control how a DEX operates, or like, for example, the for Thorchain Rune.
Yes,
Even though Rune is an L1 coin, so it's not really a token, but its utility is similar to that on other DEXs where you have to provide liquidity with Rune and another asset. And so what I mean by all these tokens is that none of them have value because there's someone outside of the chain that's promising to have to keep a value tied to it, right? It's the chain itself and its utility that gives it value, and you as users determine, do I want to have that token or not?
Right.
Based on what I can do with it on chain. The third category, so you got meme coins, you've got these utility tokens, and the third category are RWAs.
Real world assets.
And that's even Tether, I define as an RWA, right? The real world asset of Tether is the dollar.
Yeah.
But there is a counterparty that's tying the dollar.
That's a good
to
analogy
the token,
too, yeah.
right? So if there is a counterparty tying it, then it's like a token by promise. So Tether's making a promise, Circle and Coinbase are making a promise with USDC. I can't remember the company doing this, but whoever's minting all of the X stocks is making a promise that this stock is going to be worth one share in NASDAQ.
Yeah.
So these are promise coins, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you're right.
And so those are the ones that I have some skepticism for. However, I'll be honest, some have far exceeded my expectations, i.e. Tether. So when Tether first launched, I'm like, what's the point of this? It's like, I'm trusting some company to hold this coin. And where it has worked out is that, yeah, people can incorporate it into DeFi. They can take loans out with it. And those, like the general DeFi use hasn't been clamped down by government, by Tether. It's when they determine that, sure, there's this, bad actor that has this address and it received Tether, then boom, all right, it gets frozen. But there's a lot of things that haven't been deemed as being bad actor activities, primarily the DeFi stuff. And so it's exceeded my expectations in that regard, but I don't know whether or not like the X stocks will shares in a building, like property, real estate shares.
That's the kind of shit that excites me.
It like excites me, but it scares me at the same time.
It does.
Like who's gonna say that the token I receive, which is a share in this building,
really correlates to an ownership share?
Well, not only that it really correlates, maybe it legally correlates, but maybe 2 hops away from me receiving it was some dude in Iran, right? Government doesn't like that.
Right.
They really don't like it when like some kind of money or value goes to one of their quote enemies. And suddenly am I the one that gets my stock frozen because it hit someone from Iran? Right. So there's that aspect, which admittedly Zano helps with.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Right?
Zano solves this.
So Zano helps with that. Although the company that mints the token has to be willing to say, okay, we'll go ahead and mint it.
And honor the
you have to mint it
parity,
on Zano.
Yeah.
And then as well, Zano and Confidential Layer and Bridgeless, you're not really using the asset on Zano. You're using a minted version of it. And so the asset that's backing that minted version is all sitting in one vault.
Right.
So when we go and send Bitcoin into BTCX, the Bitcoin's getting locked up in a vault, like a big multi-sig vault. But Bitcoin can't be frozen by any, single entity.
Right.
But if we were to bridge an RWA into Zano, you'd have this one vault, this address that could have millions of, say, Tesla shares, right? And then the Tesla shares are bouncing around as Tesla X on Zano. And if it's detected that any one of those transactions went to a bad guy, right? Then there's the threat that the entire pool of Tesla shares that are locked could get frozen, affecting everyone that has any Tesla X.
Look at the scam that the Canadian government just pulled with TradeOver.
Yeah, exactly. There could have been just like one bad actor and they froze the whole thing.
Everybody lost their money.
Everyone lost their mony. And that's the fundamental fear I have of promise tokens.
Yeah, you're right.
Going into Zano.
And I'm with you. I think meme coins are. I have never recommended a meme coin because it doesn't do shit from the perspective of algorithm. It doesn't get you more free.
Anything, yeah.
And the promised tokens, as you call them, are also trash. Not that there's not.
There's some like short-term value to them.
They've achieved adoption.
They've achieved adoption. They've definitely improved on traditional finance.
But if the government can just turn around and freeze your Tether wallet, what
Yeah.
good is it?
Yeah.
Look at the stories what we see of like these $12 million Tether wallets. All of a sudden, imagine you have a wallet with $12 million, all of a sudden it's just gone.
So you know what the good is? If you don't hold it and you owe it.
Yeah, right.
I don't hold any Tether.
Good point.
I don't hold any USDC, but I owe it.
Good point. Good point. Good point.
So there's music, but someone else on the other side actually is holding USDC, right? Like I owe them, so therefore they have a debt in USDC. That's the danger. So they're willing to take on that risk. That's great. I'm not.
But the utility tokens, that's where the money's at.
That's where I think long term we need to get to. And the challenge is we're so used to, if we want to like tokenize all the things, not everything is a utility token.
Right.
Not everything can be a utility token.
But you know what? There are so many good use cases. I remember John McAfee, he's been on this show before he passed, and he used to talk about medical tokens. And I don't know if you ever heard. I don't know if you heard about this. There was a company called Doke Token, DOC token, like Doc Token. I think they've changed their name now. And like what they'll do is like you can the way it worked was you can actually give them access to your health data. And they would use it for whatever research purposes, and then whatever it was. And then in exchange for access to your health data, they would give you some Doke token, and the Doke token could be redeemed for telemedicine, telehealth appointments, stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know, prescriptions. I'm not sure. And then there's also the tokenization of content tokenization. So like we saw a little bit of this with Steam and Mines, where if Mark on Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg has access to your data for all intents and purposes, it belongs to him,
right? And
he makes money off of that. But on Steam and Mines and what's the other one? There's another one out there. I forget. Maybe MeWe or something.
Steam
I forget.
Turned into Hive.
Yeah.
So there's no Hive token, which forked, but same idea.
Yeah, but you get my point though. Like, you get paid off of your content. Exactly. So all these different like utility tokens, and real world assets, that's where the meat and potatoes are.
Steam had a very unique use case for tokenization, and I fundamentally did believe in and aligned with what Steam built. And I'm sad it kind of withered away a bit, because it was so promising. And the reason why I thought that was so promising is it wasn't a promise token, right? Like there was no third party that said, I promise to give you telemedicine.
Right. Yeah, right.
I promise to allow you to buy content off my website.
Yes.
Instead, it's a distributed set of validators and miners on Steam. And I used to say Steam is basically a hybrid of proof of work mining and subjective mining. And so people put content onto Steam in a way were miners, right? They were rewarded for mining good content.
Yes, yes.
But the definition of good content wasn't like you or me. It was everyone else that held Steam tokens. So it was like a proof of stake, right? So as people that had tokens, we got to vote in a distributed network on what content we deemed valuable or not valuable, and therefore deserve the mining reward. It was subjective versus objective mining, right? Bitcoin's objective. You have the right answer or you don't.
Yes,
right?
yes.
In Steam, it's like, it's kind of good content. It's awesome content. It sucks. It's, mediocre. It's subjective. But with the wisdom of the crowd, you're able to give it a score, and that score then determines your reward. So that's why I was so aligned with Steam. There was no promise there.
Right.
And it bridged the gap between just raw finance, like financial product, to, social media and content creation. A lot of the other content creation, rewards, tokens, always had that damn promise. And it's really hard to get rid of it for a lot of projects. Like even the Doc token you're referring to is a promise in the real world. And so once the real world comes into play and there's a promise between the real world and the blockchain, there's just a lot that can go wrong. I mean, I could be wrong as far as whether it gets adopted. Like I was wrong about the level of interest in NFTs, and NFTs many of them are like promise tokens, like have this NFT and therefore you can get access backstage to my performances, that kind of thing. And so I could be wrong about things, but know that there is a notable, huge line in the sand.
No doubt.
Between these crypto native and RWA promise tokens. And I think crypto native, we've proven that can work. Obviously, you need marketing, you need adoption, but the tokenomics absolutely can work. On the promise side, that I think still has to prove itself long term. Not that I'm claiming it absolutely can't work, but it's got a lot to prove before I would sink a lot of any decent amount of my personal value into them.
All right, so we talked about Zano and how you can do a lot of this on confidential assets and stuff, but you can also what's coming up is Spark assets on Firo. Are you familiar with Spark assets? And just give me your general take on Firo, because I'm really excited about Firo because I think that it does a lot of the things that Zano does,
right?
But it's at a much more affordable price point right now.
So the token is at an affordable price point from the viewpoint of its market cap is a lot lower. Firo is a bit of a double-edged sword. I've mentioned to Ruben, we've gotten on some spaces and podcasts together about optional privacy. Obviously the people like in Zcash and Firo don't like calling it optional privacy. That makes it sound like, the default is transparent. Well, I'm like, well, regardless of whether it's the default or not, if you have the option of transparent and transparent is easier to use, then that will be the default, whether you like it or not. It will be, right? People are lazy. They go down the easy path. So in a way, it's better to make it hard.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Monero and Zano make it hard to be transparent, not impossible, right? I can give up a view key. I can give up whatever key is necessary so people can see my transactions, but that's the extra effort. So that's one side of this double-edged sword. What I really do like about Firo is that they've implemented some of the subtle features that make currencies much more transactable. The biggest one that I actually wasn't aware of until I was talking to them at MoneroCon, right? Ruben was over there with his wife, was that they implemented some of the Dash features such as instant send.
Yes.
That to me was like, whoa, really? You're the only private blockchain I'm aware of with instant send. And from a merchant adoption point of view, that's critical. Right?
Yeah.
Like a merchant can't sit there waiting for a confirmation or blindly hoping that this person isn't going to double spend.
Whenever I mention that on X, Joel is just like, they got the idea from us.
Yeah, no, they got the idea from you, but they also have a full privacy layer, unlike Dash.
Yeah, right.
So I like Dash. I like that they've incorporated some aspects of privacy, but they're still at what I call, although I think they're getting out of this. They're finally they're breaking out of what I call duct tape privacy.
Yes,
right. It's just like Band-Aid duct tape privacy, where it was only a coin join equivalent that was implemented.
Yes.
Now they're implementing amount privacy, meaning the amount you send will be private. The only thing that would then be missing, the third level, is stealth addresses, which would then hide the recipient.
Yeah.
So sender privacy is there, amount privacy is coming.
And I'm confident that they'll get there with Dash, because I think Joel knows. I think he's on the same page as we are in terms of a lot of this stuff.
So if they get there, then they're really similar to Firo. But I'm all about like there is no transparent option, or transparent has to be the extra effort.
I agree with you.
So if either one of those chains, Firo or Dash, can get to the point of like, okay, it's privacy and there is no transparent mode, then I'm like, all right, thumbs up.
And by the way, the same is true of PivX.
Right. PivX is also a, transparency mode or privacy mode.
Yeah.
And it admittedly becomes hard to get adoption of the privacy mode once the transparent is out there. And we're guilty of this, right? We've incorporated Firo and PivX in full transparency mode because it's just like Bitcoin. We barely have to write any code.
Right.
Right. And I'm like, if you guys are okay with that, then that's what we'll launch. And I'm like, sure, okay, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it always becomes that, all right, it's better than nothing.
Right.
But of
course, like you can always, if you wanted to, what you're doing, you could take, your transparent Firo and turn it into a Spark address or something like that. But that's another step you have to take.
It's another step you have to take, and you have to be aware of it. And while admittedly you have to do that with like Bitcoin to BTCX, right? You're talking about an asset that's pretty globally known.
Exactly.
A huge market cap in the trillions, not a $100 million market cap coin that you're having to go back and forth between itself to go from private and not.
Right.
And so like Monero really paved the way from the viewpoint. It was the only coin that was like private only
by default. Yeah.
By default, and extra effort to become transparent. And it showed that all of the theories of, oh, well, you need transparent for this and that and for exchange listings and that. Not true. If you just get people to use your shit, right, the exchanges will come.
Right, exactly.
Someone will list you. Yeah, a bunch will delist you, but enough will keep you around because you've proven utility and there's demand for it. Right? You don't have to beg for it. Yeah.
So let's hash that out a little bit, because I feel like that's part of like the censorship of a lot of these chains is part of what I call the war on crypto. And we've seen especially under Joe Biden, the SEC attacking institutions like Kraken and Coinbase. They are gone after Roger Ver and Alexei Pertsev and Roman Storm and tons of other people in the cryptocurrency industry. And to me, that's when I kind of woke up and saw and recognized that pseudonymity was not sufficient. Do you think that the war on crypto is over now that Trump's around, or is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better?
Right. It's the war on crypto privacy now, and the war on crypto as a tool of freedom, as opposed to a war on all aspects of crypto, like just holding, buying and selling it, trading it, hodling it. It was kind of a war on everything prior. Now it's a bit more stealth. It's like, okay, we're not going to fight the part that doesn't really impact us too much.
It's a good point. They're just going after the cypherpunk elements of crypto.
They're still squashing the cypherpunk elements.
Yeah.
But promoting the cheerleading aspect of crypto, right? Cheerleading any aspect that could be deemed positive. Like, all right, we're going to allow exchanges to exist.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, great. All right. Exchanges now can exist and you can apply for a license. Right. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You can apply for a license and pay us.
You can exist.
Yeah.
To some degree, sure. You can go and issue a meme coin. We're not going to go after you. All right. Great. XRP can exist. You can sell a token now, which from the viewpoint of DeFi is a pretty beneficial thing, because a lot of DeFi protocols do need a governance coin that people can both vote on and stake.
But a lot of this is just because Trump wanted to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he wanted his he wanted an NFT coin, or he wanted World Liberty Fi.
I'll accept whatever method it took to get there. Sure.
Yeah, you're true.
But, and I'm not trying to belittle the advancements we got with the new administration, but just saying, hey, those are a nugget. Those are a small nugget of the end goal.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think like it's wonderful that like you said, like you can do a handful more things. And the coup de grace, of course, is that Ross Ulbricht is out of prison, thank God.
Yep.
But until he does the legwork and stops persecuting, his DOJ just gave Roman Storm time.
Yeah.
He's going after Roger Ver. I mean, we'll see what happens with Alexei Pertz, but like, unless you put in the legwork, the war on crypto is not over yet.
It's not. And we have a lot of contacts with like the biggest advocacy group for crypto, Stand With Crypto, which, bless the heart of the many well-meaning people that put a lot of time and effort behind Stand With Crypto. They are funded by Coinbase. But every time I'm in one of those events, we've hosted some of them here, right here at Edge. And so they're trying to do good. But every time they come, I say, don't stand with crypto, stand with crypto's privacy, stand with crypto privacy. Because no one within that community is talking a lot that, if any.
Yeah.
Right. And I push that narrative as hard as I can. It's like, if you go and talk to politicians, you go and talk to whoever, it's not good enough to stand with crypto.
Right.
Right. Push it to the extreme limit.
Yeah.
Right. And say, hey, we believe in crypto privacy. We believe in being able to operate things like a CoinJoin, being able to use a Zano, being able to use mixers. Right, like for those transparent chains where it's too not private for me to use. It's risking my physical, security.
Yeah, no.
So I should be able to go through a tornado cache
to
make sure that people don't know how much I have, because I'm a walking target, right? And so bringing that up has been my biggest focus whenever I get into any of these activist groups, like the crypto activist groups.
Yeah,
right. It's not enough to just say I'm allowed to self-custody.
Right. I have to be able to use it the way it's meant to be used.
Exactly. And so I do push for that. And so it's a double-edged sword. I'm like, I like what you guys are doing. I get it. There's some advantage to it. But don't let that narrative that you're pushing hide the true end goal.
Yeah.
Which I think it kind of has to some degree. 'Cause for sure, guaranteed, where the money is coming from to fund Stand With Crypto cares nothing about crypto privacy.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so I'll have to just do it from a grassroots
Yeah. Right.
point of view.
Into that vein, guys, freerogernow.org, sign the petition.
Absolutely. Sign it, please.
freeiannow.org, sign that petition. And I'm sure there's a bunch of others out there. All right, let's get back a little bit to Edge Wallet. You guys are integrating decentralized exchanges into your swaps. Do I have that correct?
We've had decentralized exchanges, since 2018. We integrated a service way back, which is a decentralized exchange aggregator. They've since been acquired by Coinbase and fully deprecated. But since then, we've added Thorchain, Maya Chain, Rango Exchange, which is an aggregator across multiple EVMs in Solana, LeFi, which also EVM Solana can also integrate Bitcoin through Thorchain.
What does this mean for the user?
Yeah, so for the user, you go and just say what asset you want to go from, what asset you want to go to, and we'll search both the kind of centralized CeFi swap exchanges like ChangeNow, Change Hero, Godex, right? Swappas, Let's Exchange. We'll search all of them for the best price, but we'll also search decentralized exchanges and their routes for the best price. And so whichever one has the best price is what's going to get presented to you. Now, granted, there's a different trade-off in using a decentralized exchange versus a CeFi centralized swap exchange. Many people prefer DEXs, including I, because DEXs don't have a central entity that might say, these funds look sketchy or that destination address looks sketchy. We're going to freeze them and ask you for a bunch of information. It doesn't matter what wallet you use. It doesn't matter what service you use. If that service that's actually doing the swap is an entity of some sort, company, and the money flows through them, there's always the chance that your funds get frozen. We try to make deals with these companies and say, hey, as much as possible, do not freeze them. A lot of them will freeze them, but they just want the user to say something about where they're from, and they'll actually execute the swap. I'm like, no, just refund it. We tell them just refund it, and they generally do. But there might be what they consider to be extreme red flag cases where they will actually freeze the funds and not let go of them. DEXs will never do that.
Yeah, right. They can't. They don't have the capabilities.
Well, the capability would require all of the validators to agree, right? Like a super majority of the validators to agree. Which good luck in doing that, right? And so with the DEXs, some people prefer that, even if it might not be the best price. And so I'm one of those people, and you can set that in Edge. You could say, I prefer DEXs. If the DEX can handle the route, the source and destination, give me that price, even if it's not the best. And you can always look at the other ones and say, well, okay, the price is pretty big. I'll go and use a CeFi centralized exchange. I like to keep it real, though, and tell it as it is. There is a privacy detriment to using DEXs. So it's better that you'll never get KYC'd. It's worse in the sense that exchange operation, like the fact you went from, say, Bitcoin to Ethereum or Bitcoin to Monero, is fully public on-chain. The source address, the transaction that sent the money, how much Ethereum it requested, the transaction that sent out to Ethereum to the address from that request is 100% public forever.
True. Good point.
Etched on-chain.
It has to be because it's a DEX.
No, it's not true.
Really?
Yeah. We'll talk about that at some point in time.
Okay.
We have ideas.
Okay.
But anyway, existing DEXs, it has to be for the existing DEXs. And so there's that trade-off where none of your personal information is on-chain, but your swap, your addresses,
if they can connect you to that address.
If they can connect you to any one of the addresses, they might be able to connect you to a whole bunch of swaps.
Right.
Like one Bitcoin address is now connected to your Ethereum address. Well, that Ethereum address, if it swaps from Monero,
and then they can sort of see what you've been up to.
Exactly.
Right.
So in contrast, using a centralized exchange leaves no trace on chain, but it does leave a trace with that one company.
Right.
But one company is better than on chain for 6 billion people to see, 7 billion people to see if they wanted to. So there's a bit of a trade-off there, right? Privacy versus one form of privacy versus another form of privacy. KYC versus on-chain.
I still think I'm still a fan of the DEX.
Exactly, I am too, which is why I prefaced this whole conversation with I am one of those people that prefers the DEX.
Yeah,
my
same.
setting is preferred decentralized exchanges. But I also want to be real to people, is that note, your transactions on a DEX are fully public on-chain. and you have to accept that level of privacy compromise, which means you have to make sure that the addresses you're using aren't easily tied to you, at least to the masses, maybe to a few of larger entities, for sure, but not to the masses. But yeah, decentralized exchanges are a big focus. We're trying to incorporate as many as we can.
When this episode airs, we will be, because we're recording a week in advance.
Okay, cool.
I heard from a little birdie that you have a promo coming up for Monero swaps.
We do.
You want to fill me on the deets, or?
Let's see. Let me give you the high-level deets. We are doing a promo to motivate people to buy and hodl Monero, all right, and know that there will be a prize pool, kind of inspired by March Madness here. But listen for the details coming up in October, right? Should be a lot of fun. It should be a ton of fun. Try to rope in a lot of the privacy enthusiasts and influencers to rally around it because, interesting, I think that the timing for this coincides well with some of the most recent news on Monero, right? Like the mining attacks.
Yes.
That happened on Monero. And I don't tweet a whole lot, but one of the tweets I put out did pretty well, which, everyone's asking, how do we prevent this? How do we prevent this mining attack? Well, at the end of the day, mining is easy to attack if there aren't enough miners.
Of course, yeah.
And really, it's not the number of miners. It's the amount of dollars that miners spend to mine Monero. Oops. Sorry, that little screw's getting loose.
Sorry, guys.
Screw's going loose here. But so yeah, it's the amount of money that people spend to mine Monero is the security of a chain, right? Security of Monero, security of Zano, of Bitcoin. And the number one thing that gets more money into mining a currency, to say it, is the value of the currency. There is no other thing that affects more people mining a currency and putting more dollars into mining the currency than the value of the currency.
You mean it draws miners? It incentivizes miners too.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
So, for example, right now Bitcoin's worth $100,000,
right.
and the issuance of Bitcoins, my math might be off, 3.75 or something.
Yeah.
Right? Bitcoin per block. If Bitcoin were to double to $200,000, 200,000 plus, that means that every block there's more dollars going into miners, which means miners can spend double the amount to mine. So more miners can exist, therefore putting more security into Bitcoin.
Of course.
And so the mining attack that happened to Monero would cost twice as much if Monero was worth twice as much, right?
Makes
exactly
sense.
the same if it's worth four times as much. And so what drives the price up? Buying and using. So when we buy and hodl, obviously there's that Bitcoiner mentality, right? Hodl, keep the coins off exchanges, but then spending and using also drives value because it actually is giving fees to the miners.
That's my philosophy.
Yeah, you're compensating the miners with some of these fees, and also circulating the economy. That's driving adoption and increasing the price. And so you do both of those things, you are increasing the security of the network, right? There's no code to write to increase the security. You can't just lean on engineers. This is a network that is fundamentally based on game theory, right? Financial game theory. And
no doubt,
you can only write so much code to add security. You just simply have to get people to own the coin, hold it, give it value, buy it, and then use it. And so we're hoping this is a little nugget towards that by motivating people through a prize pool to buy, own, and of course use Monero.
When will the details be released? Where should they? October 8th.
October 8th. So go ahead and follow our Twitter
account. So about a week after about a week after you guys are watching this is when you can get more information. That's from the Edge X account?
Yeah, the X account should do the job. So at Edge Wallet, we'll definitely be announcing it. We should have a few people lined up to help spread the word.
And you guys also have an Instagram account, right? I'm sure it'll be there too, right?
Yeah, we'll put it on IG as well.
Edge Wallet?
At Edge Wallet. Pretty much all the socials for now are at Edge Wallet, yep.
Okay. Exactly. All right, we're sort of running out of time, but I do want to hit you with at least one more question. You're one of the key players in the privacy industry. Where do you see the future of privacy going? 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Give me your outlook.
I would shoot in 10 years that it becomes mandated.
Yeah, join the club,
right?
Yeah, right.
Ironically, mandated by the people that right now fight.
Be okay with that, though.
I think they will mandate it because they're going to want it for themselves.
True, you're right. That's a good point.
And right now they say it's all the bad guys that want it to hide all the shit that they do. Well, I mean, who's more at fault for doing random bad shit than politicians? And so
Bingo.
they're going to hide all the junk that they want to do and all their bribe money.
Wait until Nancy
And
Pelosi
so-
finds
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
She can
She can
trade-
hide all of her X shares that she's buying.
right.
So
I know.
she'll be all over those RWA
Jesus.
tokenized assets.
We've created a
on
monster
Zano.
here. Go
Yeah.
back. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I've always said, like, everyone who promotes privacy doesn't realize that, in a way, you should be promoting it also to the people that you want transparency from.
Right.
Like, you want transparency from our elected officials. In many ways, you want to give them privacy too, because then they'll value the technology that you want to use.
Well, I've always said
give
that,
it across
like,
the board.
whatever technology we have, they will have as well. But you know what? At the end of the day, the market is more efficient than they are.
Yeah. So long as we have it and they have it, not they have it and we don't.
So you
That's
think
the important thing.
You think that in like a sort of 10-year time, you think that it's going to become sort of the industry standard?
I think it'll be the industry standard. It'll be mandated, and we won't even allow financial transactions without it. And I'm taking this.
That's a
hunch.
180 from where we are now.
No, it totally is. And I'm taking historical precedent from the adoption of cryptography, which did the 180.
Yeah.
So cryptography, SSL, HTTPS took that exact 180. In early 90s, they were trying to ban, like the government was trying to ban cryptography or mandate a backdoor into it, right? So that we wouldn't be able to use browsers that had HTTPS, or we wouldn't be able to export them to other countries, or that the developers would get fined if they wrote the code and didn't lock it down and not distribute it outside of the country, outside of the US. Now it's mandated.
Yeah.
So the government says you cannot launch a government website or a bank, a financial website, without encryption.
That's a good point.
And so, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect in the sense that, sure, it's point-to-point encryption, not end-to-end, meaning that once it arrives at the bank, it's decrypted and the bank can go and subpoena that, right? So it's different than Monero, where I'm not transacting with my bank encrypted. I'm transacting directly with you. Same with Zano. But there isn't really a good, what I call, analogy for crypto. So since we can transact peer-to-peer, fundamentally, if I think that we are going to be transacting peer-to-peer with crypto, which is one of my hunches that we
Right.
actually will be, then there is no...
I am.
Yeah, we already
Yeah,
are.
right.
But if we were doing it in mass, then there isn't any other solution than using the fully private blockchains. Anything else is so unprivate, it'll present tremendous amount of security risks, personal security risks, first and foremost.
And we already see it trending that way.
Yeah,
You know?
it is. Like, people are getting concerned, like, oh gosh, look, this person had posted in a donation address.
Right. Yeah.
And now it's like, oh shit, he's worth that much.
Yeah.
It's huge. Ross.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
Ross
I
had
know.
address and
I
suddenly,
know.
like,
Remember that? Yeah.
$10-20 million. They're like, well, now he's got a giant target on his head.
Yeah. I know.
Right? So
I know.
if that was a BTCX Zano address, no one would know how much he had received, and he wouldn't be a personal target. And
Yeah,
so
no shit,
once
yeah.
I think the world wakes up to it, and they don't wake up, like I said, they don't wake up to it until it becomes a transactable currency, right? Just trading, not so much, because it's mostly just being held on an exchange and no one can see what you hold. But once it becomes transactable, we will wake up to this. And people forget the government is just a bunch of people. People have some of the same personal interests and demands as people that are not in the government, because they still live in the world and they still transact. And so at the end of the day, they'll have the same issues we'll have. So hence why I do think, yeah, eventually they'll mandate it because they'll want it for themselves. They want to be transacting privately with the merchants, with whatever companies they transact
Man,
with.
from your lips
And
to
so,
God's ears. I hope you're right.
I'm hoping
You
so
know?
too. It's definitely not a widely agreed upon opinion.
But, I've never heard it before, but it does make sense, though. It does make sense.
So yeah, here's hoping for it. And
Guys, I am here with Paul Puey, the CEO of Edge Wallet, edge.app/Sal. Paul, any closing remarks, final thoughts you want to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
yeah, try all the stuff we've talked about in Edge. Try Duress Mode, try BTCX, Zano, Bridgeless, go from Bitcoin to BTCX and back. Please send us feedback. Like, we don't know what people are doing in the app. It's private. We don't track. And so giving us that feedback helps us improve. There's no other way for us to know what people are running into. We take a hunch because we use it ourselves. Everyone gets paid in Bitcoin. So I'm going to presume many, maybe not all, but many of us do use Edge to receive. We've got a discounted snack bar just so people use the app and run into things.
Yeah.
But we're a small sample size compared to the millions of people out there. So yeah, send us the feedback. Let us know how we can improve. And then, keep trying it out. Let us know. And keep using crypto.
Guys, edge.app/Sal. Download the app. Thank you for your time, brother.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it, Sal.